What's good, y'all? Now that we're past the All-Star break and we're past the trade deadline, we have a pretty good idea of what each roster is going to look like across the league. Some teams made trades to switch up their roster, some teams brought in guys off the buyout market, some did both. So I figured it's as good as time as ever to talk about certain teams that I am buying some stock in. You know, they may be a little bit lower than what other people think, but I really think they're going to climb the ranks and end off the season really strong. I'm going to be talking about 3 different teams in this video, and they all are at 3 very different levels of competitiveness in the NBA, but regardless, I think all 3 of them are taking steps to get better and better each game. The first team I want to talk about is the Charlotte Hornets, who have been on a 4-game win streak since the trade deadline. They made some trades and they were sellers. You know, if you want to say they traded away PJ Washington, Gordon Hayward, you know, they're veteran guys, and they brought in some young pieces, some draft capital, some salary fillers, but they have looked absolutely incredible. The Hornets have been super fun to watch since making all these different trades, and a big part of that is Tre Mann. He's arguably their biggest name that they traded for, their biggest young piece. He has been playing the best basketball of his career. In these 4 games, he's averaging 13.5 points, 7 rebounds, 6.5 assists. All 3 of those are career highs for him. He's shooting an astounding 50% from 3 with the Hornets so far. He's shooting 55% on catch and shoot threes. He doesn't shoot a lot of threes, especially for today's standards, for, you know, your point guard and everything. But when he does shoot them, they are going in. He's also been a great finisher for the Hornets, shooting 80% at the rim, which is very, very impressive considering he's only a 6'3" guard. That kind of brings me to the next step of what I want to see out of Tre Mann with this new opportunity with the Hornets, and that's the addition to his mid-range game and his floater game. Both of those are really, really important for small guards in today's NBA. So to see him develop that, it would be amazing. They didn't just trade for Tre Mann though. They also brought in Grant Williams, Seth Curry, and Vasilije Micic to come off their bench, and they have all been super productive. They're all playing super smart basketball, super, you know, team-oriented basketball, and really bringing structure to the Charlotte Hornets team that really has been lacking that for the last few seasons, if we're being honest. Grant Williams has been shooting 43% from 3 since coming over, which has really helped spacing the floor. Seth Curry, he's been a little bit down, but, you know, historically, if you see Curry on the back of that jersey, you're closing out hard. So that's really helping the spacing of the offense. You know, all 3 of these guys are really connected passers. They know when to cut. They're just really making the offense super fluid. And speaking of ball movement, Vasilije Micic has been amazing for them. He is a 30-year-old rookie, but he's playing like a vet. He had a bunch of years playing in the EuroLeague. He is a fantastic playmaker. He's tied with Tre Mann for, you know, the most assists per game since the trade deadline. Then you talk about the guys that they already have on their roster, like Miles Bridges, who's been having a little bit of an underrated season, if you ask me. You know, since he had all the off-court issues of what he's been dealing with, I feel like not everyone has been talking about him. But when you talk strictly basketball, because obviously what he done off the court, it's disgusting. But when you talk strictly basketball, he has been great for the Hornets this season. He's averaging 22 points, 7 rebounds on really good efficiency. You know, he's known as a high flyer, you know, highlight dunks and everything. And he has been a good finisher this season, but what really has taken the step for me is his 3-point shot. He has been great, shooting 38% from 3 on some pretty decent attempts too. Then you have the rookie Brandon Miller at the other forward position next to Miles, and he has just been getting better and better by every game, it seems like. He can score at all 3 levels. He's really good at getting to his spots, whether that's pulling up in the mid-range, getting to the basket, you know, a catch and shoot 3 or off the dribble 3. He can really do it all. I'm really, really interested to see when LaMelo Ball comes back from his injury playing alongside these guys, and it could get really, really fun. The next team I want to buy stock in is the Dallas Mavericks. The Mavericks have been pretty banged up all season basically, and now they're starting to fully get healthy. I'm pretty sure the only guy on their roster really dealing with serious injuries right now is Dante Exum, which hopefully he can come back. But besides that, I mean, they're looking pretty good. Realistically, any team with Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving is going to be at least decent. But if you surround them with the right pieces, they can be great. And I think they are surrounded by the right pieces. Let's start with the obvious, and that's Luka Doncic, who has been an MVP candidate this season. If the Mavericks were a higher seed, I think he would easily be the MVP favorite. He can do everything on the court, really. He can blow by you off the dribble. He can post you up. He can hit you with a step back 3. You know, he's having a career year from beyond the arc so far. He can make every pass in the book. He is damn near the perfect offensive player. And then again, once you pair him alongside Kyrie Irving, who is another damn near perfect offensive offensive player. He can get a bucket at any moment. You know, he's got elite finishing at the rim, the ball handle, the pull-up shots in the mid-range from 3, can play off the ball as well. Like I said, those two right there as a duo alone, you're looking really, really good. And since the Mavericks know that they have 2 of the best guards in the whole NBA, they wanted to make sure that they bolstered up their front court. That went from even the preseason where they went and drafted Derek Lively from Duke at that center position, and then into this trade deadline where they traded for PJ Washington and Daniel Gafford. Their front court is looking really dangerous too now. I think Derek Lively and Daniel Gafford are both the perfect centers to play alongside Luka Doncic. They both have that archetype where they're super athletic. They are great at finishing, especially off lobs and in the pick and roll. They can rebound, they can block shots. They're both just super low maintenance and super high energy, which me personally, that's my favorite type of center. And then when you look at their wings, they have a pretty good group there too. They have Tim Hardaway Jr. coming off their bench, who is, you know, a 6th Man of the Year candidate. They have Josh Green, who's a little bit of a 3-and-D guy. Derrick Jones Jr., who has resurged his career in Dallas, it seems. He has been very good all season. Dante Exum, I mentioned before, he's still hurt, but when he comes back, that just adds even more depth. They just have really solid depth across the board at all positions. They have a good mix of shooters, defenders, guys with size. And like I said, once you pair those type of guys with Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving, you have a chance, and I think that they are a dark horse championship contender. And the last team that I want to buy some stock in is the Golden State Warriors. They were as low as the 12th seed at one point in the season, and now they've slowly climbed their way up. They're in that like 9-10 range right now. They're in the play-in, hopefully, to make that playoff push. They have just been absolutely another level recently. They're 10-4 in their last 14 games, finally finding their footing. And again, we'll start with the obvious. You know, Steph Curry has been absolutely amazing throughout this whole season. He's averaging 28, 4, and 5 while shooting 42% from 3 on 12 attempts. Again, I don't think I really need to harp too much on Steph Curry. He has been absolutely amazing. And like I said, the last 14 games is where they really have started to put it together and looking like the Warriors that we all know. And I don't think it's a coincidence that 15 games ago, Draymond Green came back from suspension. Since coming back from suspension, Draymond has been averaging 10 points, 8 rebounds, 6.5 assists, and over a full steal and block per game. Oh, and I forgot to mention, he is also doing it while being super efficient from the field and from 3. 53% from the field, 42% from 3. And we all know Draymond's true impact goes way deeper than the stats. You know, he's the heart and soul of this Warriors team. He is their vocal leader on the defensive end. Even on offense, you know, beyond the playmaking and everything, his dribble handoffs with Steph Curry is one of the best in the entire NBA. He has perfected when to hand it off to Steph and set that screen, when to fake it and drive. He gets at least like one layup, one free shot at the rim, like once a game, from doing just the fake handoffs and then going and dunking it or laying it up. I've always been a pretty big Draymond Green fan, and you know, as long as he can control his aggression on the court, he is always super impactful. They also are getting really good production out of their young guys, which has been a little bit of a struggle in the past for the Warriors, but Jonathan Kuminga and Brandon Podziemski have been amazing all season. When it comes to Jonathan Kuminga, I think that he definitely started to gain some more confidence when he was able to start. You know, when Draymond Green went out with the suspension, Steve Kerr was forced to start him, and I think that also worked both ways. You know, Kuminga got his self-confidence up, and then Steve Kerr started to really trust Jonathan Kuminga, because now that Draymond was back, for the last 12 games, they have been starting together. You know, Kuminga is still starting, Draymond Green is down at the center position, and they have been looking amazing in that lineup. In those last 12 games that he's been starting with Draymond, Kuminga has been averaging 19 points, 6 rebounds, and 3 assists. You know, he is a fantastic finisher. His biggest strength is his athleticism, and he uses that to his advantage to get to the rim and just finish through everyone. And then when it comes to Brandon Podziemski, he has been one of the best rookies all season. You know, he is just a stat sheet stuffer. He just does whatever the Warriors need him to do. He also has been a great fantasy pickup for my fantasy team. Shout out to you, Brandon. He's got high IQ. He always makes the right pass and keeps the ball moving if he doesn't have a shot. When he does have a shot, he'll knock it down, shooting 38% from 3 this season. He's got good off-ball movement. He competes defensively. He is one of my favorite, not even one of, he is my favorite archetype of NBA player. I've mentioned this before, but those guys that do the little things and do all of the little things, guys like Josh Hart, Derek White, Bruce Brown. Those are my favorite type of guys to watch because they just do all the dirty work, and it reminds me of when I play basketball. So shout out to Brandon because he has been killing it. Andrew Wiggins is also returning to form. He is looking more and more like the player we saw when they won the championship a few years ago. In the last 13 games, Andrew Wiggins is shooting 47% from three. Complete 180 from what he was shooting earlier in the season because he was abysmal to start the year. He's also back to being, playing great defense and everything, using his length to his advantage. And if Klay Thompson can find his footing off the bench, he had that one really, really good game against Utah, his first game coming off the bench. Then just a few nights ago, he played the Lakers and looked really, really bad again. If he can find a happy medium coming off that bench, this Warriors team is going to be a very tough first round out. What NBA teams are you guys buying stock in? Make sure you leave it down in the comments below so you have your receipts. Once this team takes off, you can tell the other people that you called it. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you leave it a like, subscribe so you don't miss the next one. In the description, there's links to all my social media, so make sure you follow me on all those to keep up to date with me. Catch ya.